Hey everybody, this is Dungeon Chill, and today we're talking about Dread Delusion, a first-person action role-playing game developed by Lovely Hellplace and published by Dread XP for PC. Lovely Hellplace is the gaming moniker of one James Ragg, who also produces comics and animation in addition to game development. Previous games Lovely Hellplace have developed include Shatter and The Night is Darkening. Dread Delusion was first released through Steam's Early Access program on June 16, 2022, and as of this writing is on version 0.6.05. Since Dread Delusion isn't fully available yet, consider this video a preview of what is currently out, which is a nice opening chunk of the game. Dread Delusion is a PS1 retro-inspired first-person open-world RPG. Many reviews on Steam have compared this game to Morrowind, which I can kind of see. Like every Elder Scrolls game ever, you start as a prisoner. You choose a background for your character to provide a starting build. You've got 3 bars relating to health, magic, and stamina. There are NPCs that give you quests, and an open world to explore. However, as you begin to play, you'll quickly notice that there are a lot of differences. So outside of the open world RPG where you build a character, there's not much else that relates to Morrowind. Maybe it's the mushroom trees. Gotta be the mushroom trees. Anyway, you start the game by ruminating on your past and picking various backgrounds. These include a brawler, an urchin, an apprentice, and a noble, equating roughly to a fighter, thief, mage, and a talky asshole. You can then further enhance other traits by picking between an adventurer, aetheist, scholar, and counselor, and finally between a temple raider, hunted, ambitious caster, and bookseller. This system of choosing various backgrounds to decide your stats is pretty neat, mixing and matching different backgrounds to provide you with a good variety of skills. You could go straight and narrow down one of the paths, for example with a brawler, adventurer, or temple raider, but this will lock you out of some of the nifty systems that require skill checks. Although it's all in service to role-playing, so whatever you pick is cool with the game. For this preview, I went with an apprentice, counselor, temple raider, granting me +2 wisdom, +20 charm, and +20 defense. You can't customize what your character looks like. In fact, you can't see your character at all at any point while playing or looking through menus. That doesn't really bother me at all, but some people might be put off by the lack of visual character building and customization. After getting into the game, and if you've been actually watching this video, you'll notice that it has a particular style to it. And I'm not just talking about the wavering PS1 style graphics. The sky is a striking blood red. The world is made of floating islands. The first NPC you speak to is some kind of flying, monocled clockwork demon. There are mushroom trees.
Mushroom trees. There are mushroom trees.
I love the way this game looks, this grimy, industrial, steampunkish, gothic architecture, aside open fields and surprisingly clean rivers. Look at that water. Looks like you just drank that. I wouldn't though. You may also notice that textures are always moving, almost like they're sliding off of the objects they're wrapping. Don't mind that. That's just how 3D games used to look in the 32-bit era. But it also lends this breathing, undulating quality to the world. Combined with the rest of the artistic direction, you start to think that it was meant to make the world look like this living, breathing, barely held together thing. It's great. The game also has quite a sense of humor, which I enjoy. The first guy who gives you a quest talks about how he was tasked with apprehending a dangerous individual, but his men faced a small setback. They all died. You're being released to finish this mission. This kind of tongue-in-cheek writing is peppered throughout the game. It's a welcome addition that I didn't expect upon booting up Dread Delusion. The story so far seems to be concerned with religious fanatics called the Inquisition, whom you find yourself imprisoned by in the beginning of the game. Your first task is to hunt down the sky pirate Vela Kalus, who is a member of the Dark Star Company. They're against the overzealous Inquisition. There are some other factions mentioned as well, such as the Erudite Academy, which floats on an island above the scattered lands, and they're apparently pretty good map makers. Combat feels good with both melee and magic. Your weapon has some different attack animations, and even with the small stamina bar, you can get in a couple good combos before depleting it. You can assign spells that you find and cast them by using magic tomes, which require a bit of a charge up to use. You also have stealth options for avoiding enemies. It might just be my build, where I chose to boost defense, but I didn't feel like stealth was all that necessary for the early enemies, even though one of the floating NPC horror shows recommends it in the very beginning. Again, could be the extra defense I took, and it may come into play more later in the game. The charm skill works like it does in many other RPGs, opening up dialogue options by performing a skill check. One of the cooler mechanics is the lore system, which shows you secrets in the environment. Certain switches and other secrets will require lore checks to activate and open. You level up your skills by collecting delusions in the form of floating skulls, and you have 12 skills in total, with some getting a boost from your starting choices. In terms of music, there's a forlorn, airy ambience to the overworld theme, which fits with the overall vibe of the visuals and setting. There are also various background sound effects that I don't think are part of the actual BGM. They pop up infrequently and not in any sort of rhythm. When I first started playing, I thought they were sounds of nearby enemies, this kind of chittering, strange sounding, almost laughter. I thought of the Kodama from Princess Mononoke when I first heard them. Speaking of enemies, the first you'll meet are regular soldiers, pretty standard, but there are other more monstrous designs out in the world that are honestly pretty intimidating when you first run into them. They're not too bad though. There are also these weird looking plants that I avoided completely on my first run through because I thought they were some kind of enemy, especially this one that moves around as you get close to it. But no, it's just a plant that you can loot for materials. There's a lot more to cover just in the limited amount of content that's available, but I feel like I've gone through enough to give you a good idea of whether this is something you feel like checking out. I'll definitely be doing a longer, in-depth review once it gets a full release. For now, you can buy it on early access, or if you need a bit more convincing before diving in, you can play an early prototype version on one of those haunted PS1 demo discs from itch.io. I'll put a link in the description. So that's it for now. Dread Delusion, check it out. Dungeon Chill, out.
There are mushroom trees.